Let's take a look at European settlement. So with the European settlement, we're really going to be looking at two colonies. So the first colony will be Jamestown, and the second one will be Plymouth. And so we're going to go back and forth and compare how each of these the two early colonies in North America, how they developed and the similarities and differences between them. Okay. So 104 men landed in Virginia in 1607 at a place they named Jamestown. This was the first permanent English settlement in the New World. So right there, that's a fact that you need to know. Jamestown in 1607 is the first settlement. 13 years later, 102 settlers aboard the Mayflower landed in Massachusetts at a place they named Plymouth. With these two colonies, English settlement in North America was born. So you need to know, you should know that the Mayflower leads to Plymouth in 1620. Jamestown offered anchorage and a good defensive position. Warm climate and fertile soil allowed large plantations to prosper. Plymouth also provided good anchorage and had an excellent harbor. However, there was cold climate and thin, rocky soil limited farm size. New Englanders turned to lumbering, shipbuilding, fishing, and trade. Economic motives prompted colonization in Virginia. Okay, that's an important one also. The Virginia Company of London, organized in 1606, sponsored the Virginia Company, the Virginia Colony. Organizers of the company wanted to expand English trade and obtain a wider market for English manufactured goods. They naturally hoped for financial profit from their investment in shares of company stock. Freedom from religious persecution motivated the Pilgrims to leave England and settle in Holland, where there was more religious freedom. However, after a number of years, the Pilgrims felt that their children were being corrupted by the liberal Dutch lifestyle and were losing their English heritage. News of the English colony in Virginia motivated them to leave Holland and settle in the New World. So in terms of the reasons for the colonies there, right, you can see that in Virginia, which would be Jamestown, they were motivated mostly by economics. On the other hand, in Massachusetts, they were much more motivated by religion. Inexperience, unwillingness to work, and the lack of wilderness survival skills led to bickering, disagreements, and inaction at Jamestown. Poor Indian relations, disease, and the initial absence of the family unit compounded the problems. On the other hand, cooperation and hard work were part of the Pilgrims' lifestyle. Nevertheless, they too were plagued with hunger, disease, and environmental hazards. Right? So whenever we're talking about the Pilgrims, we were talking about Plymouth. Also, the religious differences, which we've already mentioned, but is important. The settlers at Jamestown were members of the Anglican faith, the official Church of England. The Pilgrims were dissenters from the Church of England and established the Puritan or Congregational Church. Okay, so as we look at government, in 1619, the first representative legislative assembly in the New World met at the Jamestown Church. It was here that our American heritage of representative government was born. Since New England was outside the jurisdiction of Virginia's government, the Pilgrims established a self-governing agreement of their own, which was called the Mayflower Compact. The Virginia colonists settled in the territory of a strong Indian empire or chiefdom. English relations with the Powhatan Indians were unstable from the beginning. Vast differences in culture, philosophies, and the English desire for dominance were obstacles too great to overcome. After the Indian uprising in 1622, the colonists gave up attempts to Christianize and live peacefully with the Indians. Prior to the Pilgrims' arrival, an epidemic wiped out the majority of the New England Indians. Several survivors befriended and assisted the colonists. Good relations ended in 1636 when the Massachusetts Bay Puritans declared war on the Pequot tribe and Plymouth was dragged into the conflict. And then finally we have Thanksgiving. On December 4th, 1619, settlers stepped ashore at Berkeley Hundred along the James River, and in accordance with the proprietor's instructions that the day of our ship's arrival shall be yearly and perpetually kept as a day of thanksgiving, celebrated the first official Thanksgiving Day. In the fall of 1621, the Pilgrims held a celebration to give thanks to God for his bounty and blessings. This occasion was the origin of the traditional Thanksgiving as we know it today. Okay, so kind of going over what we talked about here. Again, we have two colonies. The first was Jamestown, which is in Virginia, in 1607, and the second was Plymouth, which was in Massachusetts in 1620. The Mayflower ship landed in Plymouth. The big difference is settlers in Jamestown were more focused on economic gain, while settlers in Plymouth came there to escape religious persecution.